Dear God, thank you for our country where we can have free and fair elections. Thank you for all the soldiers who make this possible. Please bless them and their families, and may our SGA be a positive contribution to the successful future of our country. Amen.
Amen.
And then Edwin, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then, I feel like everybody here knows everybody, so we'll probably just skip roll call. And approval of minutes, you have the minutes in front of you. If you want to take a look at those, let me know if there are any mistakes or additions to the minutes.
Hey, Edwin, mind scoot back just a
I'm sleeping.
You're good.
Are there any changes to the minutes? I'd like to entertain a motion to get past the minutes. You just say I move to approve the minutes. Yeah. Is there a second?
I second that.
The minutes are approved. And then old business. Last week we went with all the other student government associations around Florida to a conference in Gainesville. And we actually presented a legislative issue about financial aid and maybe increasing it or making it available to more students, and that got passed. So what that means is that the Florida college system represents students with legislators, and so the Florida college system's position on that is that they support any bill that would increase financial aid or make it available to more students. So that's a huge win, although there aren't any bills right now for the next session on that, but that should stay for years to come as a plank. So that was really cool. And then Medi, did you want to tell them a little bit about the conference, how that went?
Sure. We got there, it was busy. And, I wanted to get my face painted, but it didn't work out.
I thought you were keeping that clear for pictures. Should I record that? No, it's all right.
I learned a lot about the SGA and then how it works and what we do here. We try to gather information from students and what they would like to see happen to make their lives easier as a student at SCJ. And then we bring it here, and then we talk about it here, and then at the end of the year, we always have one at this, Visca elections, and we go there, and then we voice our opinions there, and then it will be put into recommendation, I guess. And that's what we do here. That's what I learned, and I went to a lot of workshops and stuff like that. It was very fun, and I learned a lot, and that was very motivational stuff. So,
Cool.
Yep.
Do you have anything to add?
Oh, the event was fun. We played gambling games, which started a bad habit.
True. All right, and then there will be, we're talking about having a District 4 meeting, which would be 9 colleges in the northern panhandle and across the north part of Florida. That's District 4, we're in that part. And then once a year, we try to get together and have our own meeting. And that's gonna be on February, so it's gonna be in February sometime. And so right now we're just trying to figure out how expensive it would be if we need to get hotels, how many people would we be able to send. And we're looking at doing a charter bus for all of the campuses and seeing if that would be less expensive than taking the little buses, which right now it's not. So we're gonna keep researching. The 27th and 28th, yeah. And then moving on, we had a Halloween, yes.
Madam President, if I may, regarding FISCA and the legislative packet,
Yes.
can you tell them or inform them where they can find that information about the platform that they all submitted?
Yeah. If you go to fisca.org, which is Florida College Systems Student Government Association, so it's FCSSGA.org. There's a bunch of tabs at the top, and you can go under legislative, and then there's legislative issues, platforms, all that kind of thing. So you can find all the issues that were submitted and that passed on there, and all the voting statistics and stuff like that too. So, okay. Anything else about the conference? There we go. So we had a Halloween party. That was fun. Everybody, a lot of people dressed up. And then, let me see. Emma won, right? And she was Hermione, so that was pretty cool. And then we also had a volunteer event at the Jacksonville Zoo. It was really fun. We helped vendors set up, and that is, what is ADA? ADA is
American Disabilities Act Awareness.
Yes. So we helped set up vendors, and basically families would come and they would have kind of a scavenger hunt in the zoo. So that was really cool. And then we had the Phi Theta Kappa meetings on the Friday, the 24th of October, right after the day after our last SGA meeting. And that went well. We got to meet Justin Cram, the president of PTK, and that was really cool. He actually helped us on our submission for FISCA. So it's really good. Anything else for old business? Okay, moving on to new business. So Florida College Systems Student Government Association, they have their own e-board, and they have their own District 4 board as well. So they have like jurisprudence and secretary, they have the coordinators, and then on a bigger level, they have the president and then the vice president. So those elections, y'all can run for that if you want to. I think it's a great opportunity, and the application's already out. They're available on that same website, fisca.org. And so if you wanted to look into doing that, so you can just travel a lot. Yeah, man?
Yes. One thing I learned about those positions is a lot of those guys that run for them, they run unopposed, so that's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think Jeremy Pierce, he said that he ran unopposed.
Yeah, one of them, that's what I heard.
And yeah, so. And Sally said that, I think, actually in her presentation, Sally said it.
So,
I know Joe was ready.
Oh, yeah, president. And so, did you want to?
Whenever you guys run for FISCA, there are of course like GPA requirements, credit requirements, and you also need your coordinator's permission. So if you guys are thinking of running, the packet is on fisca.org, and you could view the district and the state positions. And if you meet those requirements, Cinda she has to approve for you to run for that. So just keep that in mind.
All right. And then next thing, we have been putting together like committees that would be for all the officers to be on. That would just be something when somebody asks you, what did you do in SGA? You can be like, this is something we do specifically. And also just help us connect with online students a lot more, because I think we're a little bit weak in that area. So this is where it is right here, and then we'll just, I can pass this around, but yeah. So campus governance, that's one of the meetings that I do. and I meet with campus administration about student concerns, just so they're updated about what the student concerns are. And another committee is Facebook committee. Andreina is already doing that. She's doing a great job. And that's just basically updating Facebook for everything that's going on. And then Blackboard forum, the Blackboard forum, and then also the SGA email that sometimes students will email our SGA. Danish, we'll be doing that. And I want to look into a virtual student life for SGA. That's kind of a tentative committee. I'm going to be doing that. And then asking for your help a little bit. That's just kind of a research thing that I want to do. And then we also have a newsletter committee, which Kayla's doing. And then Greta, if you could help her with that. And then we also wanted to have the first newsletter out for, not the Thanksgiving break, the Christmas break, right?
Before then.
Before Christmas month. Did you want to talk about the newsletter real quick, or?
I want to talk about all of them, but I'll wait until you're done.
Okay, sounds good. And then we also have a suggestions committee, which Greta is doing an awesome job of. And then we have the Google Hangouts, Google Hangouts committee, and that's Andreina and Danish that are doing that. And we also have a survey committee where we want to be getting regular feedback from students. And that will be Genesis and Izzy, and then Greta will be all working on that. And then we also have a membership committee, which will be reaching out to students, whether it be online or in student life or around campus, which will be Edwin, Genesis, and Medi. And then face-to-face interaction, which is also like orientation. Sometimes we go to orientation and talk to people about student life and SGA clubs, stuff like that. That'll be Daniel and Edwin. And then club liaison, which is somebody who just keeps up with the clubs on campus and then reports back, is going to be Daniel. So, and if you have any more questions about that, be sure to ask. What's up? The which one? Orientation. Okay. We will talk about that. I'll note that you want to be in that. I'll let you know. Okay.
All right, so with those committees, I want to thank Daniel and Sarah for working on those. And I want to thank all of you for agreeing to participate. I am, for the most part, my advising style, I try to be laissez-faire on some issues, especially on those things. Laissez-faire, of course, means hands off. That's an old government term. I try to be those student functions that I feel once you're prepared to do, you can do basically autonomously, which is another word for on your own. Right now, though, since a lot of eyes, and when I say eyes, like administration really wants to see the effectiveness of our SGA and how we, as Sarah has already termed, how we reach out to our online students. I'm not going to be so hands-off at the start of it. For instance, with the newsletter, definitely try to look at doing one at least once a month. That is something that we will post on our Student Success Forum. And so that's going to be something that I'm going to be looking at very often. Also, when it comes to clubs and organizations, because we are in a building position, since I can't really say we have one acting club because they're not active, and that's our film club. So I'm really working very hard to make sure that clubs and organizations that we experience arise on this campus. And congratulations, because I'm already receiving a lot of interest. Right now, I have a few, at least 3 clubs that are still in what I call the club starter kit mode. They're trying to get started for the first time, and that's great, going from 1 to possibly 3. So kudos there. But I just want you to know, Daniel, that I will kind of stay on you in regards to that. Orientation, that is one where our campus achievement leader does lead, and she can be very, very particular as far as who represents that. So I'm going to ask to approve everyone that wants to come. So once you all receive final approval from me, and I'll let you know who's going to be on that committee. The names that you listed, I think right now are good, because I think we already talked about those,
Mhm.
so we're fine when it comes to that. Committees, I will definitely be looking a little bit more closely on. Membership, as well as like student suggestions, they can take care of themselves. Google Hangouts, we're still in the place where we're doing it and trying it for the first time. One of the challenges right now is to make sure that this information is accessible to everyone, because once it live streams, then it goes to the YouTube account. And our YouTube account right now, from my understanding, is not public to everyone. And so we're working on how we can possibly make that public. That's going to be something as far as a deadline. I really need that done before Christmas break. If it's not done by then, I'm going to feel that you did not do your job on that. So I just want to let you know. And I'm not definitely being mean. I just want to, these are my expectations for those committees. And other than that, I think we're good. Some of the committees are pretty standard, and so they will, it's not so high maintenance. So I will kind of leave you, the rest of you alone. All right, so that's my spiel with that. I look forward though to working with each of you on these committees. I think that we have an opportunity to do some very, very wonderful things because of the population that we serve. So I'm very excited, and I hope that you all are as well. All right, so I'd like to see
Thank you, Jason.
No, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the committees before we move on? Yeah, Minnie.
Which committee am I going to be?
Membership.
You're on the membership committee.
Oh, and one more thing to add, our secretary, congratulations, Greta, on being our secretary. Be sure that you have a way to post these meetings to our Student Success Forum. I don't know if that's being done already. I haven't checked that portion. But if it hasn't, that's one of the things I definitely want to add, to make sure that those meetings are posted. Right now, I think Sarah is a leader of that SGA component. And so if you could get those meetings to her or to me as soon as possible, so that we can make sure that they are posted on that forum as well. Thank you. Now that is all.
I don't know if you're officially, I'll help you with that.
Yeah, I have to say much more than
Okay. It actually kind of confuses me because I think that it's interesting because I'm just a student posting on the Open Campus Student Success Forum, and I'm wondering if it's like their administration.
There are leaders, and so I think what is happening, I need to see your permissions if you're able to actually post a document, because that will answer the question of what we need to do with the newsletter. So if that can actually be done by students, or if it needs to be done by a leader, then that would be Cheyenne, Anna, or myself. So out of three of us, preferably myself and then Cheyenne. So if you all can't actually, because I know that students can interact, but as far as actually adding something to the forum, if you're not able to do that, that's what you need to let me know. And then I'll be able to, once the document is finished, to do that for you all.
Okay. Because we can start new threads.
Okay.
So that's about.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Which, that would be a possibility for meetings to be started as a thread, but then we may also want to possibly in the future add a tab that says SGA meeting minutes.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
that will be more long-term. So if you can do a thread, then that would be my intermediate suggestion until we get another option.
Okay. And then also putting the newsletter on Facebook, I think that would be a good idea.
I agree, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But I talked to Justina about posting around the flyer about, follow us on Facebook, because we're not going to do the Instagram thing for a while, right?
Yeah. You're like, if we could put you on the spot, or do you want us to talk about it later?
That's one of those things, I just keep on me with that. I need to just get some basic approval for that. I think some of the other campuses have Instagram, but I just need to follow up with that.
And
I know they have Twitter accounts, but I'm not sure about Instagram.
if you guys haven't liked our Facebook page, please do, because we only have like 17 people. in it, and I know other campuses have like hundreds, and I feel like, to really kind of boost that out, yeah.
And that's actually a point that I need to address. Right now, Open Campus Deerwood has 3 pages. That, what you're dealing with is the fact that you are on the last of the 3 that was developed, which is a Deerwood SGA page, like Open Campus Deerwood SGA. I believe that was the last page out of the 3 that were developed. In spring, we will actually merge all 3 together, and so you will see more lights. Right now, Deerwood has over 600. I believe Open Campus has over 200, and then of course you have with SGA. So once we merge in the spring, I was waiting until spring because, as many of you may know, we actually have a calendar that comes out with all of our events, and the calendar listed the 2 pages only. And so in order to remain consistent with the calendar, I decided to keep it that way. Spring, we have a new calendar, and so on spring, we will begin a new campaign, or like maybe even before, to launch the new page name. So it will be very simple from my understanding via Facebook. You can just merge the 3 together. That can only happen once. And so I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to change our name again as a campus.
Right.
It doesn't sound like we are. So once we merge in spring, then it will be Open Campus Deerwood. It won't necessarily be SGA, but I can still, because most of the other campuses are not SGA pages. They're student life pages. However, you can still promote SGA material on that page.
So she'll be able to do the same thing she's doing now.
Exactly.
On that
And so,
page.
and I will, since I will kind of be the official advisor for those, all 3 pages, most of what you will post on the page will deal with SGA stuff primarily.
Okay.
Okay. So, but we will talk about how that will work.
So should we hold back on the flyers and promoting the SGA page since we're going to be merging in spring? I don't want to be confusing people about liking one page and then they're,
Got
I
ya.
don't know,
That may be a good idea
Yeah.
until we actually merge
hold
this.
back on that.
Mhm. But I do like your flyer for the entire, so what I would like to use your flyer for all 3 pages, and not just SGA. Okay.
All right. And then moving on to spring dance, we talked about this last meeting, but we didn't really get anything set in stone. I'd like to propose that we make an actual committee that would be in charge of organizing, not doing everything, but organizing who researched what, that kind of thing, because there's going to be a lot of research that we have to do. And we just need somebody who can step up and say, hey, I can organize who's researching what and to put it all together so that we can present it at an SGA meeting and then get this process going. Because I feel like if we don't assign a committee, that it won't ever end up happening. So.
And what you mean by that is there's a lot of research involved, and I got a quote from Jacinda. It's going to be around $2,000 for something like this. So a lot of it would be fundraising, researching, fundraising, sponsorship, and then getting the logistics of it together, form it for Jacinda, and then go from there. So it's going to be a lot of work. And since we're like halfway through the term and we're about to go on break, we will give you guys, it's going to be a lot of work. But since it was my idea, I will, take this.
I think there should be somebody else that chairs it
Who would like to chair it?
besides you. Danish, yeah?
Sure.
You want to do that?
Mhm.
Okay, very cool. And then we also need like 3 people to help you. So I don't think that they need to be SGA officers unless you have a problem with that, Jacinda.
At least one more needs to be an SGA officer.
Okay.
At least, and then you can, work with everyone else.
Yeah. So does anybody else want to help?
You need a
Danish with
chair
that?
and a co-chair usually on this committee.
Do you want to be helping with that research? That'd be awesome. And then we just need another officer. Want to do it, Izzy? Okay. Thanks, Izzy. Awesome. So Izzy and Danish will be doing that.
So we have all
Tracy.
3 males, no females. That's all right, we'll see.
Who's
if you
gonna-
recruit. We're gonna need some estrogen on that committee, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
put it that way. Well, the estrogen is gonna raise their hand, but
Oh, they told us, you're right.
Estrogen is not good for men, by the way. It's not good for men.
We make us, which is.
did you really just say that?
You did. Come on, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then next thing on our agenda is the SJ motto. And do you want to
Yeah,
give an update on that?
there were 2 people on that committee, it was myself and one other student, but now it's just me. So, again, I'm looking for somebody else to help me come up with mottos, so if anybody wants to be a part of this, I appreciate it. I don't know what else to do.
You can make a motion possibly to just throw some names out now. What do you, like, how long will you all decide on the committee?
Well, I'd like to decide right now. To like make some people, and you said you wanted to? Okay. Thank you.
Unless anybody has any ideas right now to just throw out, and
And I just keep the same student life model and transfer it also to SGA. That was a suggestion last time.
Yeah, it was, and then we
voted on it.
decided that there were some officers that wanted to change it.
Right.
And so we were going to keep that one as one to vote on, and then look up some others. So, give it a lot of work to do, so.
Well, I would suggest that,
Yeah.
someone make a motion to have a deadline for the committee, because this would definitely be an ad hoc committee, and you'd hate to drag it out to another semester.
That's true.
So maybe, that the committee could possibly write a next meeting, which we need to talk about actually.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So I'll add that
We'll hold on that to
too.
open discussion, got you. But possibly have a model decided by the time we go in break.
And then,
Yes. So, I will entertain, a motion to, set a date for voting on the motto and getting one.
I move to, setting a deadline for the committee.
Do you want to set a deadline in the motion?
Yes, before we go on break, so sometime the 27th.
Okay, so there's a motion to set a date for the committee to have a motto ready to vote for by the 27th.
26. So 26, yeah, so it'd be 26.
Can we meet informally next Thursday to vote on that, or no? It has to be at a regular schedule.
Yeah, which you would have to make a motion to have a meeting to vote on anything.
So make the first motion and
Get a motion for the motion.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, well,
Unless
why
you
don't
have it
we,
ad
why
hoc.
don't the first motion be to have a list of mottos ready by the,
26.
we won't be here on the 26th, next Thursday, because a lot of us are here on Thursday already, so in a week from now, do you think that's reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay, so. Go ahead.
I move to have a list of mottos by next Thursday, the 20th.
Okay, so there's a motion stating what he just said. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay. Motion carries. I need a gavel, where is it? So anyway, okay, and then, I'd like to entertain a motion to have a quick meeting on the 20th at a certain time. That would be just specifically for this issue.
I move to have a meeting on the 20th to vote on the specific issue.
At what time? 2:30? Is 2:30?
2:30, at 2:30.
Okay, so there's a motion to have a meeting on the 20th of November at 2:30. Is there a second? Okay, is there any discussion on this motion? Yes, is
How
it?
long would the meeting be for?
The meeting will be as long as it takes to vote and agree on one motto by majority.
If
By majority. Okay. Your couch.
Just like,
The best faces. Anyway, any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries. And, okay, so that's set. And then also we need to figure out when our next meeting is gonna be. We have, next week is the 20th, and then the week after that is Thanksgiving break, so we won't be in school. And the week after that is the 4th. And the week after that is finals, right? Finals week.
Mhm.
So do y'all want to have a meeting on the 4th? Yes? Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that, December 4th.
What time would be the meeting? And what-
2:30?
and the date?
2:30.
Just-
December 4th at 2:30.
Someone make a
Monday,
motion to do
Tuesday.
that?
Do we need to make a motion to the Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to have our next meeting on December 4th at 2:30.
He's older new day.
I'm sorry?
New day.
Thursday.
I move to hold our SGA meeting December 4th on a Thursday at 2:30.
Okay, so there's a motion to have our SGA meeting on December 4th at 2:30. Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? It's gonna be a regularly scheduled SGA meeting. It's gonna be our last one of the fall. Yeah, it's a good question. So it's not gonna be like the one next week, scheduled one.
I would like to make a motion. I move to have someone else make a motion other than Daniel Uerlein. Give me 1 second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, well, is there any other discussion on the motion that Daniel proposed? Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed say nay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, by majority, the motion passes. Okay. Okay.
I was another one. Like 2 seconds.
We had a few of those during the FISBE conference too, so. So upcoming events, we have a volunteer fair on November 18th. Justina, can you tell us a little bit more about what's gonna go on that day?
Yes. A volunteer fair is an opportunity for students to connect with local nonprofits, either via long-term or one-time service opportunities. This will be, I think, the first one in a while that it has been at Open Campus Deerwood. It will occur on Center Stage or around that area. There will be about 10 to 11 agencies. We are also possibly working on a food truck for that, but we haven't heard back yet. So that may not manifest itself, but if it does, that would be great. The hours are 10 to 1 on that Tuesday, November the 18th. So we're definitely looking, if you are looking to get involved in a not-for-profit, but you're not quite sure what your interests, are what agencies are out there, this is a great opportunity for all of our students. So that should be a wonderfully rewarding event.
Yeah, thank you. And then we also have, next Friday, we have an SGAE board meeting. It was canceled a few weeks ago and is rescheduled for us on next Friday. So super excited about that. It should be an experience for us. And yeah, that's at 1:30. And we're still figuring out how many people fit in that room, so. And then you wanted to talk about Thanksgiving food drive.
Are we at open discussion yet?
I'm
You
adding
added
it.
these. Thank you. Wonderful. So the Thanksgiving food drive is actually going on now. We are trying to support an effort of the Bridge of Northeast Florida. And so the Bridge does several things, a lot dealing with kind of just an after-school program for kids are what we consider at least at-risk youth, and some other populations as well. They are trying to feed over 100 families, if I have that. No, that can't be right. Is it 104? Thank you. So about 140 families. We are not trying to feed 140 families. We're just trying to support the effort. So right now, outside of the student life area on our little table, there is a box where you can drop off donations. There's also a list of items that you can provide. We have to be as specific as possible because the organization has identified the items that we will use. So please, if it doesn't ask for cake mix, don't give us cake mix. Give us what, do drop off what they actually ask for. That will help tremendously. The deadline will be November 19th at 6 p.m. So that will be when we will finish that up. But once again, a great opportunity to just be of service to your community and those in need. Thank
Okay.
you.
And then, on the 26th, the campus is closing early. I think that it's closing at 5 o'clock, so no night classes. And then the Lincoln Constitution and Civil War, which will be next semester. Oh, sorry, did you have a question on that?
Yes, what day would do that, would that be?
The 26th is Wednesday,
The one
2 weeks from now,
that's closing at 5.
5. So you won't have any night classes. Okay. And then, Jacinda, did you want to talk about the Lincoln?
The Lincoln Constitution and Civil War exhibit is something that, is it the Center for Advanced Teaching and Learning? I think that's the group. They are working with students and staff college-wide to do various activities in regards to this effort. For instance, I think North Campus is doing what is called Depression Monopoly, which sounds very cool. There's also, does anyone need summary of what that is?
Right, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know how, of course, the normal Monopoly game is played as far as the rules there. Depression Monopoly adds a different set of circumstances to the players. So, for instance, if you go to the banker, you may have a certain obstacle or additional obstacle in your way, as far as getting money or, let's say, getting out of jail and this type of thing. So it kind of adds some of those social circumstances there. I don't know all of the circumstances that are added, but it's circumstances that make you depressed, i.e. Depression Monopoly, but it's a different way of playing the game, and it's a way to think of things as far as how times might have been during that period. So something that will be very interesting. The reason I'm suggesting it now is because the lady that's in charge of that, she had some conversation with Sarah on not just, that's one thing that they're doing. They're also showing a movie. Sarah mentioned human trafficking, which is a form of slavery for the most part, or just being denied civil rights that should be afforded to everyone that resides in our country. So what I want to do, I want to kind of bring in front of SGA some possible activities that we could do. Sarah, I think that you mentioned a possible service learning project. That's what Jen Latoya mentioned to me. Or not. She said service learning. You would know it as a community service project.
Yes.
Yes.
So I was thinking that there are a couple or a few places around town that do help women who have been former, I guess, I don't know, been slaves, I guess. And so they help them be rehabilitated and go through therapy and back into society. And so I don't think the one place that I've researched, you can't work, it's really extensive process to actually work with them, but we can maybe like call them, ask them to come out, or ask them what kind of items they need donated, do something like that, and work with that kind of nonprofit agency that way.
Okay. And one of the things, some of you may know, maybe some other agencies that may deal with this topic, so I wanted to bring it to the floor to see if anyone else had any ideas. And it doesn't just have to be targeted to, the human trafficking victims. For instance, some agencies, it seems a little distant, but Hubbard House does deal with battered women, but even some of those women have possibly been under this particular, life circumstance. So if there are no other ideas, then Sarah and I will look to see what we as a campus will do. It was also suggested that we could possibly try to tag along with some of the other SGAs and see what they may be interested in, if they might be interested in doing it as a campus-wide activity. And then also tagging along with them on some other things that the other campuses may be doing. So, for instance, I think that North Campus is doing a movie night, and I cannot remember the Lincoln movie, but I'm not gonna ramble on with that because I can't remember it. But they are gonna have a movie night with North Campus, and then possibly we can work with the other campuses to do some of the similar things. So,
Is it possible for us to have a movie night?
it would be possible. It would need to be a little thematic to the actual effort, our endeavor. But in unrelated, if you're asking just in random, can we have a movie night? That is a possibility, yes. At the theater, I mean, that's easy, that can be done.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
There was also she mentioned that you had a service project, and was there anything else that you talked to her about?
I think she was talking about doing like full-fledged campaign. Like, I don't know if y'all have heard of the End It movement
That was it.
with the Red Crosses. That was really big around this time, or around January, February last year.
Okay.
People would put red X's on their hands or on their clothing, just to raise awareness that, slavery is not over in America. There's still going on. So, yeah, Minnie?
Okay, edit this out. Are you guys talking about like people being brought over here?
Hold up. Can we edit out?
I'd have to stop the broadcast.
Can you bring it back up?
With the amount of battery I have.
Can you talk to me
Can we talk about it
this
later then?
after the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Maddie.
So what as far as the Constitution, Lincoln Constitution and Civil War, we're kind of dealing with almost all forms of slavery, in a sense, human trafficking, whether they're brought over here. Believe it or not, Jacksonville has a very, very high population of that. Yeah.
Super big. Yeah.
Yes, we have a high number of that population here. And so it would be apropos for our college to kind of, at least in some small way, tackle that cause. So I don't know if that answers your question. If it doesn't, of course, you can talk with Sarah later. But I think it would be interesting for our SGAs possibly to look at this. And like I said, we can possibly add this to the e-board agenda for when we come next week, and to see if they have an interest in this. When I talk with Jane Latoya Burton, though, Sarah, she's very excited. And so she's thinking that we will take this on. And so I don't want to lead her on, and I don't want to disappoint her either. So you and I need to figure out what we're going to do, and if we're going to try to have this campaign. If we do, I would really need the help of the SGA in a sense. So that's why I'm bringing it up now.
Okay.
She wants dates as soon as possible, and so
Dates for activities?
yes, which a campaign is easy to make dates. You can just say from the beginning of the term, the first few weeks in, to the last few weeks. Things like a movie night, we can make a date as well, or even when we'll do a community service project. But that won't necessarily be done at one SGA meeting. We have to talk and then bring it forward for later on. What I would like to do, to see if someone would like to make a motion to possibly tackle this or adopt this as a campaign. next term. Is there interest? Yes.
What would be some suggestions that we can do other than the movie night?
You have a community service project, and
Maybe
so
board
we would
games.
talk about, yes, we could do the board games, we could, this is
The
the
sky's the
thing,
limit. That's like your imagination, if you can do it.
literally, it is. We could do